world is poised for an innovation explosion, the likes of which humans have never dreamed. In this explosion, innovation will become a routine of daily life as normal as brushing your teeth twice a day or going to work at 9 a.m. has been. Innovation will no longer be seen as the exception, the province of special people. We'll smack our foreheads in upset when we realize we forgot to innovate today. But at least we remember to go to the gym. Everyone will be alert to how they can do every task better, easier, faster, always. But in the place of pressure, rather the joy of ongoing incremental innovation or even revolutionary shift. This will birth a mainstream innovation culture, an innovation explosion. Everything which was once in the way of this explosion is being moved aside or has fallen apart, opening the way to change the lives of everyone for the better, including you. By innovation, let me make it clear, I mean innovating you, innovating yourself, then your work, then everything. Conditions are in place, now exist at every level of society for this explosion to happen. They have been accumulating for decades. The coronavirus pandemic only fused this all faster, but top thinkers were foreseeing this explosion near panic 60 years ago. No surprise then, this explosion is not only coming, it's also here. Like the light of a distant star rocketing toward us, its effects had already started manifesting long before we could bask in its arrival. Its leading edge was already long making waves among us, and has been, without you or most of us even seeing it. You've sensed it though, haven't you? That's why you're here. If you want to be more productive, if you want to have better ideas faster, more easily, if you want to find it easier to implement your ideas, if you want to be ongoingly surprised by yourself, amazed, and in wonder about it all, if you want to heal the planet by healing yourself, then you're in the right place. Synergy has brought you here. Or maybe COVID surprised you. Either way, you're in the explosion. Welcome, and thank you. The innovation explosion is giving us the chance to truly see ourselves and one another for the first time in history. We've learned to pierce the avatars, the email merges, and the catfishing. We understand now how to appreciate what each person in our neighborhood, our community, our social group, our family, our company, or our tribe has to give. Because this explosion will spawn, as it has been spawned from, a giving outlook rather than a receiving one, in which wealth will be seen more clearly as the ability to contribute. And to contribute, you will have to learn to innovate as freely as you now sleep and breathe. Now, you can be part of this explosion or not. It's your choice. But you have zero excuse not to, unless you prefer an excuse. In the case, try one of these following. I'm not that innovative. Being innovative is hard. Who has time? I'm just not interested. Innovation is dangerous. All of these are lies, of course, and we'll address that over the coming weeks. The main lie is that innovation is something you need to do for yourself. Okay? I need to make this clear. Not at all. Not anymore. In the innovation explosion, innovation is part of your social responsibility, a duty expected of any good citizen, the same way paying your taxes is, or driving, well, not too far above the speed limit. You could stop watching these videos now and try to dodge the inevitable. But you're still here, because the innovation explosion is a reality check. And, pretty much nobody takes checks anymore, and there's no reality Bitcoin, so I'd move through this as quickly as you can. Alvin Toffler wrote in 1970 already that adaptability would soon become more important than traditional literacy. In other words, that the skill of knowing how to learn, unlearn, and relearn would become more important in the world than the skill of writing and reading. And that the same way we look at illiterate people now and the difficulties they face in getting work and causing things to happen in society, that's the same way that people who are not able to guide their own learning, to relearn and unlearn, will be seen in the future. But that future is here. And the fastest way home to your own creative genius is to learn to innovate yourself easily and authentically. I think innovation is hard. These days, not innovating is going to be harder and harder. What is in the way of you having a more powerful mind and richer thoughts? Have you handled what's in the way? If not, are you willing to? If you can't figure out the reason why you are the way you are now, you can always just make one up. Choose one that empowers you. Because it's better to create reality than reject it. If all you want is to watch this first week of videos and leave it at that, it's cool. At least get through the first week. I'm not asking you to transform the whole world. The world doesn't need you to transform it. It just needs you to transform you. And I promise you this, if you do this course as it's designed, you'll see the difference. You'll feel and experience yourself with greater freedom and ability to think of new ideas more easily, more quickly, more often. Human beings, we seem to be almost doomed to innovate. Like we have a compulsive need to distinguish ourselves from other animals. And it's just like a biological twitch. And I call this the innovation itch. And this actually constitutes the fourth F of the panic response. Fight, flee, freeze, fix. We're desperate to fix things. It's like our main motor of evolution. It's a startle reflex with no floor to stop the fall. In a world that's increasingly becoming categorized as post-truth, we can start to believe that cliche that knowledge is power. Because there's too much to know. You can't know all of it. Computers can. So the fear we have of, terrorists, data hacks, dystopian nightmares, information blackouts, worldwide magnetic pulse that ruins everything, or even that robot apocalypse, all those things are worth fearing, if anything is. We have so much information, no idea what to do with it. Our blessings curse us. So many people said by 2020 we'll have flying cars. We don't. In the end, it's an unexpected virus that has sped up the innovation explosion. Sometimes to move forward, you have to slow down or even stop. In the coronavirus pandemic, carbon dioxide fell by 1/4 in China in just a few weeks. Nitrogen dioxide fell by more than 2/3 in New Delhi in just 1 week. If sustained, these levels would save way more lives than coronavirus has taken. Sometimes change or innovation forces itself upon us. Our cursings turn out to bless us. Words created the universe, but words also destroy us. We must learn to respect the power of our own word, our own ability to innovate by simply declaring it. Changes in the world are created first in our not thoughts, long before they're created in our thinking. We must learn to manage our ability to create, to turn our thoughts off and on like a tap. And one of the first things we'll deal with that in this week's as follows is, noticing that there's a difference between information and knowledge. Fritz Machlup was a great thinker of the third industrial revolution. He said that information is acquired by being told, while knowledge is acquired by thinking. And he's the one that thought of the term the information society. He was one of the first people to examine information as an economic resource. What's funny is that, in the early third industrial revolution, information was very valuable, no longer. Information by itself is almost a nuisance without knowledge to put it into context. Information is the bottom of the chain. Information is what leads us to have creative thought, because creative thought is needed to put the information into a structure called knowledge. And knowledge is what leads to innovation. And innovation causes impact. So creativity turns the energy of information into the power of knowledge, and innovation delivers the punch. It's a long chain between info and inno, right? Between essence and impact. And this series of videos is going to train you to build that. There's over 500 million blogs in the world now. And every one of them, to be worth reading, needs to basically be like an Air PhD. It has to be contextualized, because a catalog of facts is no longer useful or interesting. We can Dropbox a list of things, we can Google it. Any value in rote learning has been replaced. Stray facts are sometimes interesting, but they make us go, wow, like fireworks do. They pop, and they fade. We throw deep fakes and fake news around like a football player in college throws his shoulders around at a frat party. It doesn't mean anything. Facts without context mean zero. We have hashtag TMI and hashtag TLK. But the innovation explosion is changing all this. We're going to talk at some point more about Future Shock, the book that Alvin Toffler wrote, published in 1970. It was sort of the catapult for the futurist intellectual movement. His prognosis for the future, which was coming too fast and was changing too fast and was bringing too much technology too quickly, causing people to feel ill. The solution was adaptability. Become able to learn, unlearn, and relearn easily. And as I mentioned before, pretty much becomes today's literacy. Because computers can apply data faster than we can think. And they're only getting faster. And they're getting faster, much faster than we are. But we're not being made obsolete. We're being freed from repetitive, boring tasks and given the opportunity to recreate ourselves, to re-begin our lives with different and more human skills. So the first great innovation we must each make is to innovate ourselves. Unfortunately, it's not a one-time deal. Adaptability needs to be renewed again and again every day. Right? And knowledge is not just applying info. It's creating something brand new from the information. Innovation connects us to the infinite. Context is now supreme. Crude oil doesn't seem too nice for you if you're walking through the desert. Then you need water. And water seems cheap and easy and free until you don't have any. They say that by the end of this century, the worst conflicts in the world will be over water. And even today, a country like Egypt can be dominated, theoretically, by a tiny or a much smaller and much less powerful country like Ethiopia, because Ethiopia controls created the issue of Somali piracy. Water is critical. Without water, we can't grow food. And we all know this. Yet, we continue ruining the oceans. We add 14 billion tons of plastic to the oceans every year. At the current rate, we will have replaced all saltwater fish with plastic within 30 years. George Carlin used to make a joke that the meaning of life was plastic, that Earth created humans because it couldn't make plastic itself. Human plastic only appeared on the planet 170 years ago. It was 30 years later that the first plastic appeared that didn't have anything natural or organic in it. And plastic shopping bags that you're used to using every day only started 60 years ago. Some of these bags and plastic items are going to cram our oceans for up to 1,000 years. So context. When we invented plastic, we thought it was fabulous. We thought it was amazing. Now we have to replace plastic with something else. One innovation solves the problems of another innovation. The value of things shifts. The value of a robot that might be worth thousands of dollars or even millions of dollars is meaningless without electricity. So, we're compelled to solve things. Value shifts. Information by itself does not lead to innovation. Knowledge can. Both of them, however, are ultimately forms of mental water. We create them, but all that matters at the end is the impact. Knowledge isn't power. Knowledge has power, or perhaps we could say knowledge gives power. But innovation is what we live for. And by the end of this series of videos, you could be a masterful practitioner of innovative thinking, if you choose to be. If you want more work prospects, if you want some better business success, if you want better profits, bigger networks, better ideas, and more fun, all of those things are available to you by doing this process. Innovation should be as easy as dreaming. Innovation is the core of being human. The deeper we go into tech, the more human we become. Sometimes change or innovation forces itself upon us, because the best news is the innovation explosion is here. So slow down, take a breath, relax. In the innovation explosion, there is nothing to fix.